in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show, Mr. Brett Robinson, is the superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools. Good morning, Mr. Robinson. How are you today?
I'm well, Seth. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Thanks for asking. Thanks for making time for us. As always, it's good to have you on the program. Mr. Robinson, when are your kids out of school? What's the last of school looking like down there in Piatt County?
So yesterday was the last day of school for students, and today the teachers have an institute day, and so that would be today's their last day.
How about that? Yeah, my kid's last day is today, and I've been telling a few of your peers as I've been talking to them over the last few weeks. My wife feels like this is very early to be letting the kids out. She's been kind of freaking out about the couple of weeks before summer camp starts in the first part of June. And so she's like really worried about it's just too early. It's just too early to be letting the kids out. So you're letting them out even before us. So that's crazy.
Yeah, so this is kind of a transition. So going back many years ago, there were some schools that didn't even start until Labor Day, but typically my experience was at the beginning of my career, most would start maybe a week or two before Labor Day. And for whatever reason, schools have been starting more mid-August and being done mid-ish May. So that's the transition over time that has kind of occurred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question. So now this, of course, Mr. Robinson, is your last year, and it has to be nice to you go through all the COVID stuff, that was just a huge stressor on everybody. So you get through that. It has to be nice. Your last year in education is a normal school year, normal activities, all of those things. What does a normal school year look like in Bemidji, or excuse me, in Cerro Gordo? What are you able to do with your kids? What are some activities that are unique to Cerro Gordo that you are able to enjoy in your final year at the school district?
Yeah, there are some that are unique to Cerro Gordo that have been in place in my entire 20 years here that I inherited, and traditions that we've carried forward. So we got to have traditional homecoming parade, homecoming dance, events of that nature, prom in the spring. And all schools have those things, but one that's unique that our kids really, really enjoy, the high school students get to have Aloha Day in the spring. And Aloha Day is we have a big kind of pulled pork barbecue lunch provided by the kitchen staff, and then we have fun events through the day. Class competitions. It's just a fun, relaxing day as we, get ready to go down the home stretch in the spring. And that's a one that's unique to Cerro Gordo that we got to do that we didn't really get to do. All of the student athletes, our co-curricular activities, band and so forth, all got to have their normal events. Our drama department, plays, musicals. So I'm very thankful that the kids got to do all those things this year.
Very good. Very good. So was it a good school year? Talk a little bit about the 22-23 year. How was it?
It was fantastic. Our students and our teachers had a great year. I think being able to get back to normal, as you stated, it just can't be it can't be underlined or underscored enough how huge that was for so many reasons, and the social emotional well-being of everybody, I think would be at the top of that list.
How would you assess where your kids are at right now, Mr. Robinson, coming out of COVID? You mentioned that social emotional piece. Academically, there has to be some benefit for kids being in a smaller district like Cerro Gordo. There's probably a little more individualized attention on kids, on individual kids at an individual level. But how about just your assessment of where the kids are at from some of those perspectives coming out of COVID? How do you feel about things?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. Our staff, we have social emotional committee amongst our staff, and our social worker, and all of our teachers really look out for our kids. They look for signs. They touch base with them if there's any kind of sensing that our kids might be struggling or need something from the staff. Our staff is great in interactions, and having a good teacher to student ratio that's helpful. I really think overall our kids have come through things very well. You talked about academics. Our test scores are among the top in the area overall. When you look at English language arts, math, and science, that tested at 3rd through 11th grade. Just so very, very proud and blessed to be a superintendent here where those things matter, and kids do great, and so do the staff.
Mm-hmm. Brett Robinson, superintendent of Cerro Gordo schools, our guest on the phone here for this morning. Mr. Robinson, I have to apologize. I get so used to saying Cerro Gordo Bemint. Sometimes I'm going to just roll right into that, so I apologize for that. But no, so how long have you been at Cerro Gordo, Mr. Robinson? What is this, year 9, 10 for you?
This is year 20.
Year 20? I didn't realize that. Time flies.
It does. I came in the summer of 2003 to be the high school principal. I did that for 3 years. And then since the summer of 2006, I have been superintendent.
Okay.
And this is my year.
Gotcha. So, it's interesting to hear as kind of superintendents reflect on their time in education. Oftentimes what I hear is that, they never really had that goal of becoming a superintendent. Funny thing, I was talking with Mr. Nettles, our superintendent here, and we've got a couple of our educators that are moving on to bigger things. And one thing that he talked about was as an educator, you never really get into education with that goal of becoming a superintendent. Maybe some do, and that's perfectly fine. But a lot of them get into education to be around kids, that learning environment, watching them grow, all those things are the appeal of being an educator. So I'm curious what your story is, Mr. Robinson. Why did you get into education? What was kind of your aspirations as you got into this world of teaching kids?
So to start with, I liked school as a student. I enjoyed all my classes, and really enjoyed business and math classes. And so when I thought about what I wanted to do for my career, education was kind of always in the back of my mind, and I had some that tried to steer me away from it. It's not the greatest for this reason or that reason, and I listened, but I ultimately didn't. And I just enjoyed the experience in school, including the co-curriculars and extracurriculars I participated in, and looked up to my teachers. And so I thought that might be a good fit for me. Then early in my career, as I was still getting ready to start my career in education, I had a lot of encouragement from a school superintendent at the time, who's now retired, and encouraged me not only to become a teacher, but thought that I should pursue educational administration. And I looked up to and highly respected them, and they apparently saw something in me, and I'm forever grateful for that. And that's kind of my story.
It's also the kind of something I hear a lot of is, somebody saw that in me, and they encouraged me to pursue those sorts of things. That's an interesting little wrinkle as well. What was your as you got into administration in the school systems, Mr. Robinson? What was kind of the biggest learning curve, and what's been the biggest change in being an administrator in education that you've seen? How about those couple things?
So I think just seeing things from a big picture perspective, which was something that I feel like I adapted to, fairly soon. But it's no longer, this is what goes on in the four walls of my classroom as a teacher, or this is no longer, my perspective as the teacher. As a school administrator, first as a principal, you have to kind of look at the big picture, from everyone's angles and how this all fits together, and lead your staff, your students, and your school community overall accordingly. But that's a focus on my building as a principal. Let's say high school or whatever the principal has for their assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving to the superintendent, you've been focused on, all things high school. That was my case, high school principal. And then making sure that you see it even more globally, from a pre-K through 12 perspective, and just making sure that all of the decisions that you make take into account many different perspectives, but ultimately always comes back to what is going to serve our students best. And sometimes those decisions unfortunately have some detractors and are not always popular. But if you stick on the course of this will best serve students, then that's what you need to do.
Yeah, no question. Well, Mr. Robinson, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out, because I want to get into a couple of other things that perhaps have changed over the time, your time in academics and education, and then just kind of speak to what you've got planned for your retirement. So let's take a break here. Where do folks go to learn about all things Cerro Gordo schools?
Our website is www.cgbroncos.org, and we also are on our website, on the front page, is our Facebook page as well.
Very good. Brett Robinson, superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, is my guest on the phone here for this morning. More to come with him on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
For more details.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly higher, beans lower, wheat trading higher. July corn 572 1/4 up 1 1/4. September corn up 3 507 3/4. December new crop 512 3/4 up 3 3/4. July beans down 17 1/4, 1324. August beans 1259 3/4 down 15 3/4. November new crop 1187 3/4 down 9 1/4. July wheat 611 1/4 up a nickel. September wheat also up a nickel, 623 3/4. July bean meal 409.80 down 240. July bean oil 48.14 down 63 cents. In the livestock market, May feeders 207.75 up $1.17. June live cattle 164.85 down 20 cents. June lean hogs 80.62 down $1.20. Energy market, July crude oil 73.34 up $1.29. Jim Taylor, RFD.
At Love It Once More Thrift Store in Clinton, we have everything you need for a great summer, including swimwear. Shop with us to save on the things you need for summertime fun. This is Connie reminding you to check us out on Facebook or doitdailynews.com.
This is Ryan Utterback. Do you know what Utterback Real Estate offers for free? Free hugs? No, free market analysis on your property so you know what it's worth.
I kind of like free hugs.
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
Get your free market analysis by clicking the Utterback Real Estate icon at doitdailynews.com. No doubt you've made a few mistakes as you've worked to acquire a formal education. You will continue to make mistakes in life, but don't be discouraged by them. Instead, consider them a means to growth. As Winston Churchill said, success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. We congratulate the class of 2023, and we wish you a bright future.
Proudly sponsored by Peasley Funeral Home, located at 401 Delavan Street in Lincoln. Congratulations, 2023 graduates, and good luck in your future.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Mr. Brett Robinson is the superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the phone here for this morning. Mr. Robinson, I know that we've talked a little bit, just briefly touched on COVID, but I know you've got some thoughts on just the best way to educate kids, what we kind of picked up during COVID, in terms of reinforcing, educating our kids and the best practices and those sorts of things. What do you have for us?
Yes. So obviously we had stretches of time that it was not safe for the health of all concerned to be in-person learning, or to reduce it down to a reduced amount of time that we could spend safely. So we did what we had to do. We did learning packets. We did Zoom meetings, Google Classroom, a variety of different approaches. But when we were able to get back to regular students in the classroom, being taught by their teachers, it jumped out to me just how vitally important that students and teachers together, and students learning from each other. They might not think to ask a particular question during the course of a class, and another student does. And, I'm so glad they asked that, because, I didn't think to ask it, but that's something that I didn't know, or I needed to learn more information about. So my point is that students and teachers in the classroom together is hands down still the best method, in my humble opinion. And it is one of the reasons that we have not chosen to opt in on e-learning days. We still continue with traditional snow days if it's not safe to get kids to and from school. And I also think that gives kids and staff, a mental break sometimes, during the winter. And so again, the teachers and students together is clearly, in my opinion, the best educational approach.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's worked for hundreds of years and continues on even to this advanced technological age we live in, with AI becoming more of a thing and all of that. So Mr. Robinson, how about we talk about changes and the things that evolve. You talk about the student in front of teacher aspect of education not really changing, but one thing that has changed a lot, we've probably seen a lot over the years, is, and I'm sure you've had a front seat for, is we ask so much more of schools now than we probably did when you started in education. And schools are asked to be more of a stakeholder in raising kids and making sure they are they're cared for and things of that nature. Almost becoming a greater guardian role when they're in the school within school walls. How about that from your perspective? What have you seen there?
Yeah, I see that. I've seen that evolve over time. There are higher needs for us to do more for students. There are many schools that will expand meal programs throughout the summer. We're currently not there, but I've seen it occur in my time to provide some more in that way. extending the day program for after school help. I mean, that's always kind of been somewhat of an informal if the student wanted to ask questions right at the end of the day. But it's kind of evolved and developed into more entrenched, established programs for homework help or daycare, which is one of the things that our school district provides for our elementary students after school, a after school program. So there's a variety of different things. We also have a full-time school nurse in our district, and so that's another way that that the schools have become more involved in not just the reading, writing, and arithmetic side of the equation, but in so many other facets of looking out for the well-being of our students.
Sure. Well, Mr. Robinson, as you walk out of the Cerro Gordo school building for a final time here in the next week or two, I'm sure what's next for you? What are you going to be doing with your time? Time to yourself. How about that?
So being able to dedicate more time to spending with my family, traveling, going to my grandchildren's events, and continuing to follow my daughter's travels, wherever those take her, and as she pursues a career in basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you gonna take up any hobbies? You golfer, card collector? Like to fish, hunt? What are you gonna do?
Well, I'll probably dabble in a few of those. I'm probably going to do some fishing with my grandchildren. My brother, he's a fisherman. I'll probably spend some time with him as well. More time for golf, which I do enjoy, but haven't done as much as what I would have liked for a while, and just generally slow down a little bit and smell the roses, so to speak.
There you go. Very good. Well, Mr. Robinson, what's next for Cerro Gordo schools? What do you have? I know Dr. Widener's coming in for you. How about that?
That's right. Dr. Widener was chosen by the school board in November, late November. So we've had an opportunity to collaborate together, and that opportunity has given us a chance to make it a very smooth transition. And I'm excited for Cerro Gordo schools, having somebody like Dr. Widener with her abilities come in and take us forward from when she steps in here.
Very good. Well, Mr. Robinson, best of luck to you. Enjoy retirement, and many thanks for all the time you've given us over the years. Brett Robinson, Cerro Gordo School Superintendent, for the last time on the morning show on WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM, W293 DJ Normal Bloomington.
The security barrier near the White House. The incident took place Monday night around 10 p.m.